It's actor versus actor, with Progressive Insurance commercial star Brad MacDonald facing his buddy and longtime friend, Naruto voiceover actor Tom Gibis, in 20 questions on movies and notable quotes. This is Trivia with Buds. It be. And welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Buds. Thanks for checking out this show and putting the audio from my mouth into your ears. That sounds creepy now that I've said that out loud. This is a pop culture trivia show. It comes out every single day. And this is kind of a throwback episode. When the show first came out about 2 years ago, the format was to have two friends of mine on to battle in topics that they're good at. So they would each give me 5 topics. We'd talk about why they're into those topics, and then I'd pick one of those things and ask them 10 questions about it. And I haven't done it for quite a bit because I kind of changed the format of the show, and the show comes out every day, and it's little daily doses of trivia for the most part, but sometimes some live episodes, sometimes some interview episodes. This is going back to the original format of the show. So I'm going to have these two friends on, Brad MacDonald and Tom Gibis. They're very funny, they're very entertaining, and they are great actors, and you will hear some amazing stories about their time living in the Hollywood area in this episode. Now, this episode is an hour long, so if you have a long car ride ahead of you, a long commute, this is one for you. But if you don't like a lot of banter, you don't like a lot of stories, you might want to skip to one of the episodes that is just trivia, and you can go probably 2 weeks behind this episode in the feed and find a bunch of different topics, from TV show pilots to the Mandela effect to pirates and all kinds of other things that might suit your fancy. But this is a fun one, and if you like just a great chat with three friends, this is an episode for you. If you like this show, please tell a friend about it and support it on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/triviawithbuds and see all the amazing stuff you can get for donating to this show monthly. Shout out to my newest Patreon subscribers, Jen Wojnar, Simon Time. He is a guy who runs a trivia company in Florida, the Orlando area, Simon Time Trivia. Check that out if you live in Florida. And someone who donated with the name I Give to the Scorpion. That's right. My brother, Scott Buds, decided to become a Patreon subscriber, just so he can hear me say I give to the Scorpion, which was what a wrestling move that Sting was kind of represented by the Scorpion in his black and white face paint ears. And he would give people the Scorpion Deathlock, and it was kind of like the sharpshooter, if you know Bret the Hitman Hart. And he would give me this move as a kid growing up, and he would really lean back on it until I said, I give to the Scorpion. So as a new Patreon subscriber, I'm supposed to say I give to the Scorpion. And hey, Scott, you're a dick. Okay? Come on. But thanks for the donation. This is the episode. I'm not going to give you anything else. We got an hour-long chat with me, Brad MacDonald, and Tom Gibis talking about Hollywood and LA and movies and notable quotes. Here we go. Sitting here in beautiful Burbank, California, the first town I moved to when I came from Chicago to Los Angeles with two of my oldest friends, one of which I met on the very first day, on the very first entrance to the old motel turned apartment complex that I moved in called the Starlet, Mr. Tom Gibis. How are you doing, Tom?
Good.
You were the first. Do you remember meeting me and Ashley? We had walked in.
No, but you had reminded me of it later, saying that I was quite rude to you. Or I was like kind of bitter at that point, and I said something like, good luck.
Yeah, you were on your way out. You were like getting ready to move. Yeah. And because
we
the
had
management
had it. Yeah.
And the management had changed, and you were like, yeah, I was like, hey, we just moved here. We're excited. And you're like, hey, like, good luck. This place is a dump. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, good to see you. And then I met Ted next, who was smoking outside. So that was the order of people. But yeah, we've known each other for going on 6 years now.
So you met the mayor and the associate mayor.
I met the mayor and the associate mayor and the secretary. That's who's speaking right now. That's Mr. Brad MacDonald. What's up, Brad?
Good.
You also lived in this apartment complex. You guys are both accomplished and talented actors, and you do a bunch of other fun stuff that we'll talk about in just a minute. Tom, we met that first day, and we lived at the Starlet, Olive and Pass. How could you describe this for listeners? What was this complex like?
Wow. A lot of people have said it was like Melrose Place. There was a heyday of... I moved in 95, and it was mostly single guys that were working in the industry. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple girls in there, too. But we had these great parties, and it was just like a bunch of 30-year-olds acting like 20-year-olds. You know? And we had a game that we invented called chair ball, which
very good.
And we had tournaments. Like this became like a thing.
Yeah.
And we used the whole length of the pool, and you'd set up a chair on either, those plastic chairs.
Yeah.
And we get a rubber playground ball, and you'd throw it, has to bounce across the water, and then knock over the chair.
Okay.
If it did, then you would get a point.
Sure.
And then if it landed in the chair without knocking it over, that was chair ball, and you automatically won the game.
There you go.
And we would play this. We were serious about it,
Sure.
and you'd play doubles and you could play singles, and we'd have these weekends where we'd have these round robins, and it was crazy. Like it was such a good game.
And
I went to a few barbecues where they had chair ball before I ever moved in, because I was friends with Tom when I first moved out here.
And all the potted plants
it was great.
Away.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
And so this place, to describe it a little better, is like right in the heart of Burbank, where Warner Brothers Studios is. So directly across the street is a giant Warner Brothers logo. At the time I moved in, I think it was Scooby-Doo maybe, or Batman jumping out at you.
The
it was like
Animaniacs and stuff like that. They changed that sign.
Yeah, and then giant building-sized posters for all the Warner Brothers movies.
You can always tell the movies
out.
that they are getting behind based on where it's placed. If it's placed on Pass or if it's placed on Olive.
Yeah. Also, this is where Ellen tapes, directly across the street, so you'd see all these women lining up every day to go to the tapings of Ellen.
Technically, we're across from what's called the Triangle Building.
That's right.
And then across the street from there is, it's hard to explain.
Sure.
But yes, we're kitty corner from the
We can hear
lot.
when Ellen has live guests.
Yeah.
We can hear them performing.
There you go.
Yeah,
Justin Bieber's on the show.
If they shoot late or outdoors or did fireworks or anything like that.
And this was just a cool complex to live in. So Ashley, my wife, and I, we didn't have kids at the time. We moved out here from Chicago. We found it on Craigslist. It was pricey, but we were like, this looks kind of hip, and this looks like a fun place to live. And we lived there for,
and it was. Did you get one of the new apartments? Did you get
yeah.
one?
We had one of the first remodeled apartments. So everything in it was like IKEA furniture and
I think there were only 3
and,
renovated apartments at that time.
Well, what they didn't renovate was the air. There was no air. It was just we just had a hope that it was not
and
that hot.
no insulation too. The second floor is hot.
Now they're starting to put in central air and heat
and
as they renovate units.
These places were like 450 square feet, like the size of a motel, kind of.
Yep.
And I worked on a show where someone told me, when the show Laugh-In used to film across the street in the 60s, was that a 60s, 70s show? They said all the writers would use this. This was like the writer's bungalow. So I think it was a motel at the time, and they'd rent out all the rooms for months at a time.
Well, the older units had those
I don't know
intercoms.
if that's true.
Well, the woman told me that if it is true, that the writers there was one writer specifically, and I forget his name, but he used to write all his jokes on the walls.
Oh, really?
And they would yell at him about it, so then he'd write them on the ceiling. And I thought that was, even if that's not true, I thought that was a great little
It's a
anecdote.
great story.
Okay, because Burbank Studios, which is down on Olive, just past the 134
Formerly
cross,
NBC.
That's where Laugh-In was shot.
Oh,
now,
so maybe
it's still within it's striking distance.
Sure.
I mean, we're very close, but
Sure.
it's not. I don't think it was shot at Warner Brothers.
Gotcha.
And then when I moved in '95, the original owner, Mr. Brown. I know this is becoming a starlet. Like this is so
The
interesting.
Starlet Podcast.
But it is kind of interesting.
It's old Hollywood.
Mr. Brown was an old bachelor, and nothing by that. That was kind of the air. He had all these girlfriends, and he was like I thought he was like in his 90s when I met him in '95. But he was an airplane pilot.
Yeah.
And he flew for Gerald Ford. He was his like personal pilot, and then he owned a couple of buildings in Burbank, and that's kind of how he made his money. And he was older, and he didn't care. He would put people in the building that he liked. If he liked you, you were in.
Yep.
And when I moved in, this was '95. I paid $500. It was $495.
Yeah.
A month. And then, let's see, what year did you move in?
2012.
2012. So probably
and I moved
2010.
I moved in 2009 is when the rent started going. Going
so
up.
2009, 2010, I was paying $545 with a garage.
Wow.
Some bitch.
And
For Los Angeles
so for a long time, we
area.
had this group of guys that were not going anywhere.
Nope.
And it was like, why?
Yeah, why
because,
would you?
your rent is cheap. You can live by yourself.
Yep.
You don't need a roommate. you
Great
know.
neighborhood.
And you got the pool, and everybody was very friendly,
Yeah,
and
it's
people
perfect.
to talk to. And if you wanted to be left alone, you could be left alone. And really, I'd never asked Mr. Brown to do anything. If my sink broke, I'd fix it myself. I'd paint. I'd do all this stuff. I just never wanted to bother him because I didn't want the rent to go up.
Yep.
That's the dream, right? You move out here and you can live for that cheap. Tom, you still work and have worked for a long time at Dick Clark Productions. What are you doing over there these days?
Well, I worked for Dick Clark Productions, but now I work for Dick Clark Company.
Dick Clark Company to take off the productions. Yeah.
But in '95, I got a job in the mailroom at Dick Clark Productions, and I've been working for Dick Clark that entire time.
Yeah.
He sold the company, and he asked me to go with him, so I went with him, and then he passed away, and then his wife now continues to run the company, and so what I do is my official title is Director of Development.
There you go.
But it's basically I do everything. There's like 4 people in the company. So
do you still do any mail related stuff? That'd be kind of fun.
I put the paper in the copy machine and change the ink and answer the phone and I do everything. And then in the meantime I also write and do some other things. We produced a show for PBS 2015 called Buried History.
Yeah, very good show.
And I won an award for that.
I remember that.
A Telly Award.
Very
and we
cool.
were nominated for an Emmy. So that's
amazing.
That was kind of neat because you feel like,
is there any chance of the show coming back? Any chance of another?
We're working on it. I mean, I've written like 6 scripts, so we're
very
basically
clever
ready
idea.
to go. But and then if we got more money, I'd just keep writing. But I didn't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah.
6 I felt was good enough to get started. So it's a weird thing. It did really well in the ratings. And the thing about PBS, when you go to work for PBS, they say, we love your show. It's great, wonderful. We'll put on as many as you can make. Yeah. Now go out there and find some money so you can produce that show. And you're like, wait, aren't you supposed to pay us to? No. And then they get like, get a charitable organization or a company to sort of sponsor you. And it's like, isn't that you supposed to do that for us? Yeah. And like, no. Oh, and by the way, don't hit any of the ones we're using already, because we don't want them to feel like they're being pressured. Because we've already got them for our shows.
Yeah. Could you switch to like Discovery or National Geographic?
Well, they'd have to want the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The one thing I gotta say is our show. It's a good show if you like history, and it's very warm and it's touchy feely because we go and find people that lived this history, and it's more charming. It's talking to older people, and it's soft.
Yeah.
For today's, we do a whole thing. It's called Buried History. The premise is we go to a graveyard and we tell the story of a town based on the people who are buried in the graveyard. Now, if you went Discovery, just an idea of the stylistic difference. If you go to like a Discovery Channel or History Channel or something, it'd be like graveyard. Hi, I'm Mark Wahlberg, and we'd have the fog machine, and we'd shoot it at night. And this person is dead. And we go in the middle of the day. It's beautiful. We did Catalina, and we went out to their graveyard, and it's respectful. We're very but it's a bright sunny day. It's beautiful. The birds are chirping, the whole thing, and then we tell this person's story, and it's a very personal story of somebody who lived in this town and helped make it be what it is.
Very similar to, have you ever heard of the Spoon River anthologies in Central Illinois? Have you guys either had did you have to read those in college?
Oh yeah, and it was a play as well.
And it was the same kind of thing. It was like, I think it starts off with someone walking around a graveyard,
where
they look at a
tombstone,
and then they go into a story.
Right.
But it was all people who lived in this town called Spoon River, and not far from where Ashley lived for most of her adult years going into college.
One of the first plays I ever worked on was
Spoon
River.
Throwback to
back in high school.
Brad, we're going to get into your plays in just a second. Your 1,000-play resume.
Thousands.
Tom, a couple more quick things. Super Bowl party at Dick Clark's estate. You were nice enough to invite me and Ashley and I. And I remember eating chili, and I'm like, this is the best chili I ever had. And you're like, Dick Clark's wife made that chili. I was like, whoa. And we watched the Super Bowl in like his screening room.
Yeah,
so awesome.
That's correct.
And that was really cool.
They were good about that. My coworker, Amy.
Yes.
She was a big sports fan.
Sure.
And basically they would let her do whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
And so she said, I'm going to invite a bunch of people over. And of course, we weren't just coworkers. We were friends. We all hung out together. Brad actually worked briefly at Dick Clark Productions a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so we would invite people out and do the whole thing.
That was always super nice and very hospitable being out there. And it's such a cool
and
place
they were great
in Malibu.
about that. Yeah. We film there's a lot of commercials are filmed out there. So you probably, once you've been to the estate, you kind of go, oh, wait, that's in a Bud Light commercial.
That's
a margarita commercial. What was that? Bud Limerita. That's what it was. They shot that
combo. In addition to working in production, you are a fantastic singer. You sung at your wedding.
Well,
I remember that. You sung "Hey Ho" by the Lumineers.
Brad was in it too.
And Brad did some haying and hoeing, holding up signs. And you kind of did like your own version for your wife JM, where you kind of replaced the lyrics.
Yeah, I just changed the lyrics.
That was one of those things.
Very sweet.
Yeah,
I had a sore throat too. I was so sick that day.
It was, and you had wasn't it at a courthouse? Was that or where?
No, it's the old Elks. Well, originally it was the Elks Lodge.
That's right.
Which was started by
Park, but
actors,
they call it
right?
the Park Plaza.
Yeah, it was a really cool
it was
venue.
Park Plaza Hotel, and then it became. Anyway, it's been.
Tom, am I wrong about that?
They film a ton of stuff there too in commercials.
Wasn't the Elks started by
the
actors?
Elks. Oh, I don't know.
I believe the history versus like the Moose Lodge or other, fraternal organizations. I think that one was actually formed by actors here in Hollywood in the 30s or 20s or 30s, something like that. I could be totally off.
No, that sounds about right. That sounds, I mean, if you're saying it, I believe it.
And he also did, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be true. He also did, you did classic Hollywood for the theme for your reception.
Oh, yeah.
Which was fun.
Everything was like 1920s font.
It was very fun. Very
fun.
Well,
the building was very 1920s.
Yeah.
Airplane.
Yeah, we are near the Burbank Airport, which will add some fun ambiance to this episode. The last bullet point I have for you, Tom, is you're an accomplished voice actor, mostly known for the series Naruto. Would you say that's your biggest thing?
I mean, in general, I consider myself an actor.
Yeah.
But yes, I do voiceover. That's what I've been doing the most. Last 13 years, I've been on a series called Naruto.
And you're doing the U.S. dubs of these.
Film
what's your character again?
Yeah, what's the character's name?
Shikamaru Nara.
Shikamaru Nara?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So we've done like 600 episodes over 13 years, and I think I've probably been in 500 of those, maybe 525 if I was going to guess. So.
Do you have to go somewhere, or can you do it from home?
No, it's
pretty close to here.
Yeah, it's on Burbank Boulevard,
There you go.
Studiopolis.
Yeah. That is
I don't want to
perfect.
spend that much money on my equipment. I have little equipment for auditions because really, I don't think they really care. I mean, I don't think I've gone in to audition for a voiceover thing. And
who was the guy? Why am I drawing a blank? Who's the guy who did all the movie trailers?
Oh, Don LaFontaine.
Yeah, he passed away.
Don LaFontaine.
Like he used to have a studio in his.
He would just read it and send it back.
Yeah.
Right? And then they would fax him the check or something.
In
Or he had a
a
machine.
world.
I mean, he would just step out of his bedroom in his pajamas, go into his home studio, and
I hear
knock
like
out.
all the Rugrats actors, that whole cast had home studios.
Oh, wow.
So they would just log in and
That's kind of cool.
how they would do it, but have a landline.
It's a little too advanced for me.
Brad, we're jumping on to some bullet points for you. You've seen Brad MacDonald a million times in a million commercials, most notably as the rival insurance agents to Flo on the Progressive commercials. Brad, I'm going to describe you as the tall, slender guy with glasses.
Thank you.
Is that right?
I'll take that. I'll take the slender part.
Does your character in those have a name?
Yes, actually, Pete Breitmeyer plays rival Bill.
Okay.
And I play rival Tom. So we do technically, and apparently those are the names of two of the ad guys.
Yeah.
That were originally part of the campaign. I haven't seen them in ages. But they named us after guys who were involved in the creation of the campaign.
And how many years have you been playing that character?
The first one we shot in the summer of 2009, and that aired in the spring of 2010. So,
Holy cow. So we're going on
since 2010.
We're on 8 years. That's crazy. Almost
Craziness.
a decade of insurance commercials. And
It's been a good run.
It's been a good run, and it's still going, right? Still popping
It
in?
seems to be. They haven't called the rivals back in a while, but there's still a couple of our older spots that are still airing from time to time. And as long as Flo's still around, there's always a chance they'll bring the rivals.
Another Jamie ad. What?
I know. Seriously. Jamie.
Are you, what's the craziest thing? I remember you telling me some stories of things you had to do on those shoots. What's the craziest shoot you've had to do for those, that brand?
Well, probably for me, there was one that was. Do you remember the first Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise, where they lower him down from the ceiling so he can steal the files?
Yeah,
they did a kind of a take on that, where the two rivals are trying to steal the Name Your Price tool, this huge Name Your Price tool.
Yeah,
and so. On the day of the shoot, they had hired a stuntman for Pete because Pete said, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell me until we were on set what I was doing. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to be dangling you from the ceiling. You're going to be going through basically the size of that sunlight right there. And I ended up like getting really beat up that day because it was like take after take going through this opening in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I snapped a picture of my bloody, bruised chest and ended up
from the harness.
Ended up getting stunt pay for the day.
Yeah.
Originally, I wasn't going to get it, and then we kind of put our foot down. But
there you go.
But it's amazing. Because I do have a fear of heights, but surprisingly, I didn't on that day. It's like when you're focused and you don't want to embarrass yourself or you don't want to trip up the production.
You didn't have the luxury of being afraid.
No.
And Pete, it's peer pressured into it.
And Pete's over at Craft Services being like, you're doing great,
The guy that bailed first.
Totally. I'm like, you jerk. So,
he's going to listen to this.
I hope so.
Brad, I see you on TV so often. You're the person I always go, that's my friend Brad. Like, you see that guy on the left? That's my friend Brad.
I think thanks to the Progressive commercials, I actually got inducted 2 years ago into my high school Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Who else is in that Hall of Fame?
Melissa Peterman.
Okay.
I don't think Cedric is, but I don't know.
The entertainer?
Yeah. No. Cedric Yarborough, who was on Reno 911. And he's done a bunch of movies.
He's on a
Goldberg's. He's on
not Goldberg's. It's on after Goldberg's.
He might have
Speechless with Minnie Driver. Yes, he's great.
Yeah, he's
love him.
He's awesome.
Brad, you grew up in Minnesota.
I did.
Tom, did you grow up in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yep.
What was life like growing up in Minnesota in the 70s, 80s?
Fantastic.
Loved
it. Yeah.
A lot of Prince.
A lot of banana
Prince,
seat bikes.
A lot of hockey.
Banana seat
bikes.
Banana seat
bikes.
St. Paul is the Twin Cities, cleanest city I've ever been to in my life. There was not one speck of graffiti, garbage. It was like I was in a movie set. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Well, we'll take you there and show you the seedier sides of the Twin Cities.
We used to ride those banana seat bikes.
That's right. But yeah, it's I don't know if I could live in the suburbs now, but growing up as a kid, it was great because it's like you would go out and and it wasn't until your mom was yelling for you to come in for dinner that you would come back. And we had great trails and woods near the house, and
even in the winter.
Yeah,
my mom would say, "Go outside."
Yeah,
and I don't want you coming back till dinner. And it's 20 below or
totally.
whatever. Put your snowmobile suit on and you just make it work. I don't care. Your kids are driving me nuts.
Right.
Get out of here.
You'd build snow forts, from the snow from the
We'd go sledding. We had a
snowplow,
hill right behind our
sledding
house.
And cross country skiing. So yeah, it was great upbringing.
Besides acting, you've done a lot of stage plays. You just mentioned Spin River Anthology.
One of the first.
Give me. Do you have maybe the weirdest role you've ever auditioned for, or the strangest audition you went on? Have you ever gone on something? Yeah. Have you ever gone on something where you're like, it was like, must be cool being shirtless or something. Yeah. And then you find out you're like, oh, this is like softcore erotica or anything weird.
Nothing too crazy. I mean, let's see. I did do a production in college of The Rink, which is a Kander and Ebb musical. The original production was Liza Minnelli and Cheetah Rivera, I believe. And the premise is that this roller rink is being demolished because the patriarch of the family has passed away.
Okay.
And the estranged daughter, comes back to try and stop the mom from demolishing.
You played the daughter?
I did.
That was the Liza part?
Dual role, mom and daughter.
The demolition crew, over the course of the musical, ended up inhabiting characters from these women's pasts.
Okay.
So in one scene, I played, and they did have, I forget the actor's name, but they did have a guy playing the father/husband. And in one scene, I played like his girlfriend. So they had me they had boobs and hips and dress and heels and wig and the whole 9 yards. And the wardrobe people were telling me that I have a lovely figure for a woman. So that was nice.
So you got a Me Too moment out of that.
That was
there
nice.
You go.
That was nice. But yeah, I don't know if I've had anything too crazy as far as auditions go. I mean, out here, it's funny, a few times I've had auditions where they wanted Minnesota, and then I was told I wasn't Minnesota enough. And I'm like, okay. So you want the stereotypical, super affected Fargo accent.
Lewis
Which is North Dakota.
Yeah.
Lewis Black has a story about, I think, auditioning to play himself and not getting it.
Yeah.
It was like a sitcom about him, and they're like, you're not Lewis Black enough, and he was like, he couldn't comprehend. Well, now we know some great background on how we all know each other and some of your cool moments from your guys' lives. We're going to jump into some stuff you're into. I asked you each 5 categories you're into. Tom, you gave me 4. Brad, you gave me No, he gave me 5.
I just gave you a handful. I was like, I don't know.
These are pretty broad, but I think that they will work for what I came up up with. So we'll go over the topics first, and then I'll reveal which topic I chose for each of you. Tom, the first one was history.
Yeah.
Any history? You just mentioned a history show
history.
You're kind of working on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like what I was trying to say is I'm pretty good at just general trivia.
Sure.
Just like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
when you get too far into the woods with anything, I can get lost. So the minute you say, you're a U2 fan, and then
all of a sudden they'll go, well, who was the sound engineer on that?
Right.
Yeah.
And what part, when Bono lived at this address, and you think you're into something, and then you're like, I am not apparently into this at all. Name 5 Beatles songs, go, and you're like,
in terms of U.S. history, do you have one of those favorite facts about a president? Have you ever read one of those, like William Howard Taft got stuck in a bathtub, or Abraham Lincoln was a great wrestler? Did you ever hear about that?
Is that true about the bathtub?
Taft couldn't get out of a bathtub; he was so large, and then Lincoln used to challenge people to wrestling matches in the streets.
He was buddies. Was Taft the one who was pretty close to Woodrow Wilson?
No, he was Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt. That's
he
right.
was supposed to replace Teddy. And then they got kind of a running out. So Teddy decided to run again in the Bull Moose Party. So
and
Taft
he ran
is the only
against
one
him and smeared his old friend, right?
Yeah. And so Taft ended up becoming president twice with a blank in the middle. So I think he was president. He didn't serve consecutive terms. And then he went on to become a Supreme Court justice. So Taft is pretty unique.
You can be.
He was a Supreme Court justice after being president?
Yes.
The next bullet point, movies, just movies in general. Have you been in any movies as an actor?
I was in Beautiful Girls.
He was very good.
Oh, nice.
I've been in I voiced a ton of Naruto movies.
Sure.
I think there's 8 of them now.
Oh, nice. Are those theatrical overseas, probably?
No, they're straight to DVD.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And I've done a couple of those kind of things.
Yeah, he had a great scene with Lauren Holly in Beautiful Girls. Very, very moving.
What was your character like in that?
Peter the Eater was the name of the character.
Peter the Eater.
It's this is
he basically
we can talk about this for an hour.
He calls out the popular girl for
Yeah.
being mean to him in high school.
Yeah, I'm a little chubby fella. So.
And Brad, were you any films? Notable film appearances?
Not really. I mean, I was an extra in Mallrats. I
auditioned for that, and I had a conflict, and I couldn't do it. And then that conflict went away, and then they were like, "No, we already cast the role."
There you go.
And I was a stand-in for Matt Dillon on Beautiful Girls. Actually, there's
same
a scene,
height, same size.
At that time, I've got a little bit of a Buddha now, but at that time we were the same height and build and coloring and all of that, and so.
Yeah.
For 2-3 days, they did makeup tests on me. There's a scene where
I see the scars from the burns, from the chemical burns still. Yeah.
That's not going to work.
And it was kind of fun, because they would always offer to take it off at the end of the day. And then I would be like, no, I want to leave it on. And then I would walk to my car because it was beat up makeup. So it was like cuts and bruises, and bleeding and that sort of thing. And I got to meet them and got to meet really the entire cast. But that was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Got some sympathy from the ladies.
Got some sympathy. But it's amazing the number of people who just will look the other way. Like, I don't want to even deal with this guy. But fortunately, there were enough people that said, are you okay? That my faith in humanity was affirmed.
Tom, you said for your last topic, video games. I've always known you as a huge gamer. You always were a big fan of pre-ordering games and getting them the first day, playing them, beating them quick. What are you playing these days?
Well, I just finished God of War.
Oh, for PlayStation 4.
Well,
Did you love it?
I should say finished. I've done everything, but I cannot kill that Valkyrie. Have you played the game?
I haven't touched it, no. Right, but it looks amazing.
That's the one thing I'd have 100% completion on that game. I like games where you can just... I'm kind of done with online multiplayer stuff because I just can't stand those kids.
The kids, yeah.
They're racist.
I remember during the Starlet days, man, you used to you had the headphone with the speaker.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that was, we have this friend Tom Lommel, and he and I met these guys online up in Canada. And so you kind of put together this crew of guys that are okay to play with, they're your sort of co-op or multiplayer guys. And that was fun for a while because you'd go on and you'd say, oh, Drunk 99 is on, so I'll go play with him. And he's a good guy. You kind of get a rapport. And
there's at least 99 drunks in Canada, right?
I think it was actually Drunk 69.
No. Hey.
So original, such a name. And anyway, but I haven't done that in a long time. And it's funny how like that guy got divorced and now he's remarried and he's never online. And,
sure.
It's like,
do you have a Nintendo Switch?
No.
I
have a PS4.
That's gaming wise. That's about all I'm doing these days. But when the new Red Dead Redemption comes out, I'll probably jump on that.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be great.
I heard of this game called Pitfall.
Yeah,
on Atari.
Sure. Yeah. You should play Pitfall
Spy Hunter
character. That could be your big starring role in a movie.
Pitfall?
The Pitfall guy.
They should make that into a movie.
Brad MacDonald in Pitfall.
We got Brad to play Nazi zombies once.
Yeah.
And he just kept running into the wall. Why are they eating me? I can't turn around.
Poor Brad. Brad,
I'm not very good at video
in Tom's
games.
impression of you sounded like an old TV celebrity, which is your first topic you gave me. Old TV celebrities.
I can do all right on that one, too.
You're a big fan of these, let's see, who's an old TV celebrity? George Burns?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only one I know.
Bob Hope.
It's the only one I've never heard of him.
Dick Van
only
Dyke.
George
Jack
Burns.
Benny.
Yeah.
Jackie Gleason.
Yeah.
What do you like about old Hollywood? The stories?
I think there was, and I also think there was a I don't want to say purity, but I'm trying to think if there's a better word, but a purity to the narrative or a purity to storytelling. Like it didn't rely on cheap gags all the time. It didn't rely on profanity or violence. And I think, especially in the days of censors, they had to be very creative about the way that they would address sexuality or issues of race or this, that, or the other.
I find British shows nowadays kind of fall into that category.
Yeah.
Good British comedies are not always like anything close to an American comedy, which makes it stand out and makes me keep watching it, I think, because they're really into the storytelling and the characters and subtle moments and long pauses and things. You know what I mean? So
and in my opinion, again, I don't think there were a lot of cheap shots that that was smart writing. And you look like at a film like His Girl Friday, and how snappy the dialogue was, and how smart it was, and how quick those performers were. And
your next topic was music. You've been to a million concerts. We were talking concerts.
You better not picked music.
We were talking U2
he worked
concerts.
for Amoeba Records.
Yeah, that's like the number one LA music spot. Did you hear they're going to be a cannabis store now?
Well, no.
Cannabis and music, or just cannabis?
Both.
Their Berkeley location is currently a weed.
But now they're moving the original or the main location to
the
a different
Haight-Ashbury is moving? Oh, I didn't hear
and
that.
then it's going to have a huge component of medical marijuana.
They're never going to get those people out of the listening rooms.
Because I think the original location, I think, is almost exclusively, if not exclusively, cannabis. And then the second location was Haight-Ashbury, and then the one that I worked at was obviously in Hollywood.
Sunset in Hollywood.
On Sunset
and
Cahuenga.
Sunset
and Cahuenga.
That's the one I'm talking about. They're moving.
Well, yeah, because they sold the property, and then the owner is considering doing something different with that space.
John Amoeba.
The
Amoeba
owners also own that Jack in the Box too, so they might do something with both.
Where bridges the street.
Yeah. So I think there you go. They should
Skyway.
They should. But yeah, I think their lease is up in another year or so. But they're looking at other locations in LA.
You've been to a million concerts. Who's still on your bucket list that's alive and well enough for you to see?
Rolling Stones.
Never seen them.
Never seen them live. I had an opportunity to go to the Steel Wheels tour back in, what was that, 90, 89, 90, something like that. Mm-hmm. But I'd love to see, and I've seen him before, but I'd love to see Paul McCartney again. Trying to think of like more contemporary artists.
Did you see a lot of Prince before he was gone?
I did. I was very fortunate in that when I was still living in Minnesota, he would do impromptu shows at Paisley Park Studios.
Yeah.
Some of which were free, some of which he charged money for. I also got to see him. He briefly had a club called Glam Slam, and I got to see him there.
That's
and
amazing.
I got to see him at the old Met Center.
You know who does that same kind of thing a lot in Vegas is the Killers. If you're a fan of the Killers, who are obviously no Prince or anything, but because they're from Vegas, they'll just pop into my brother-in-law basically is a manager of a bar, and he's like, the Killers were just like, we're going to come play a show there. And he's like, all right. And
that's
like
awesome.
50 people. Yeah. It's crazy.
The last time I saw Prince before he passed was he toured with a all-female backing group called Third Eye Girl. Yeah. So I got to see Prince and Third Eye Girl at the Hard Rock in San Diego.
That's was a good show.
It was great. He did like kind of pared down, bluesy, crunchy just, sexy versions of some of his back catalog to the point where you didn't really recognize the song at first. It was great.
That's awesome. Your next topic was notable quotes. You post a lot of these on Facebook.
I do.
A lot of inspirational quotes.
I'm a quotophile.
Do you have one off the top of your head that you want to share with the listeners? Anything from the Spoon River Anthology?
Be pithy.
I know.
Be smart. Come up with something interesting. Quick, Brad. We both did improv training.
We did.
At the same place in Minneapolis called the Brave New Workshop.
And in that case, what I'd like you to do is...
I'm stalling for Brad.
I would like you to go back and forth and create an inspirational quote one word at a time.
God.
We'll start with Tom, and then we'll jump to Brad. We'll see what we can make out of this. Tom, your first word for the inspirational quote. Doesn't have to be long.
Well, I was actually... I don't know why, but I was looking at James Dean. He was asking me, and James Dean had a quote. He said... what is it again? I'm going to mess it up. Live your life like there's no tomorrow, or... I'm already messing it up. Never mind. I looked these quotes up.
Sure.
I don't always remember them.
It was don't drive through Salinas.
There you go. Ooh, ouch.
That's a good quote. And I haven't done it since I read that.
Don't take a left turn.
Your last topic was food. You eat a lot of food. You love it.
Clearly.
You're a big...
I read a lot of cooking magazines.
You had a lot of cooking. Yeah. But
like Tom has said, I have the nicest kitchen that never gets used.
Yeah, you have the equipment, but you really like going out to eat. It's one of your favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the service industry on and off since I was 14, so I like going to restaurants. I like establishing a rapport with the wait staff and bartenders.
Every time I've even gone to a Starbucks with you, I feel like you know everybody. They're like, oh, there's Brad.
Hey, Brad. I am the norm in all of the Burbank and Toluca Lake establishments, but. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. I enjoy cooking. I'm good at it, but I prefer going out.
Well, now that we know what you guys are into and your background, we got the reveal of the topics. Tom, we're going to be doing some movie movie trivia. I figured that'd be fun for both of you guys. Yeah. And Brad, your topic will be notable quotes.
All right.
Okay?
Man.
So this will be fun. We'll be going back and forth.
He's going to steal movies. But I can't steal.
You got to wait for the whole questions to be read. We're going to start with Tom's, and we'll alternate between Tom's and Brad's topics of movies and notable quotes. Wait for the whole question to be read so people can play along at home. And the buzz in word is how you're going to buzz in. So one or two syllables. What's maybe something between the two of you? Anything fun?
Well, I thought it was Naruto. Are we going to do that as our buzz in?
Sure, that's fine.
Naruto? Okay.
It's not easy to say.
It is kind of
or we
hard.
Could do
like Starlet.
How about Starlet?
Starlet.
Yeah, so Starlet works.
Starlet will be the buzz in word. You're just going to wait for the question to be read, then buzz in with Starlet. You can buzz in on either person's topic. You get 1 point when you get your topic right, 2 points when you get the other person's topic right, or if they miss it, you'll get a chance to answer it too. So we'll start with Tom's questions on movies. You can both buzz in. You guys ready?
Ready.
Here we go. This is the first question. In what movie does Val Kilmer play someone named Mad Mardigan? In what movie does Val Kilmer play a character named Mad Mardigan?
Starlet.
Tom.
Is it Real Genius?
It is not Real Genius, but that's a good guess. Kind of right around that era, I think a couple years later. Brad, any guesses? Mad Mardigan.
Mad Mardigan. You know it?
I think it's one word, like Mad Mardigan, but I'm not sure. Or if it's Mad space Mardigan.
Well, it definitely wasn't The Doors.
It was not The Doors.
It definitely wasn't The Doors, and it definitely wasn't Tombstone.
Any guesses?
Shoot. No.
It was Willow. Willow with Val Kilmer. I used to watch that all the time as a kid. No points there.
0 points on that one.
0 points on the board, but you got the feel for the first question. Here's question number one for Brad. It is still a tie. Brad's topic of notable quotes. Again, either of you can buzz in on all these questions. Question one. What silent era actor said, "In the end, everything's a gag"? What silent era actor? Brad.
Buster Keaton?
It was not Buster Keaton. Tom, any guesses? What silent era actor said, "In the end, everything's a gag"? Any guesses?
It could be a lot of different people. In the end, everything's a gag.
Silent era.
Did you say it was an actor?
It is an actor.
Harold Lloyd.
It was Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, that's like the most obvious.
Yeah, right on the nose.
That's probably why we went to...
Overthinking, but...
We were overthinking.
No worries.
Well, at least we're tied.
It is still tied. Jumping on to question two for movies. Which Karate Kid movie features a character named Dynamite Mike Barnes?
Dynamite Mike Barnes?
Which Karate Kid movie features a character named Dynamite Mike Barnes?
Dynamite Mike.
Have you guys watched Cobra Kai?
I've watched the first two episodes.
I've heard it's really good.
Loved it. I watched it all
I'll just take a guess. Yes. Starlet. I'll say the second one.
The second one is a great guess, but incorrect, Brad.
It's got to be number 3.
It is the third one.
Yeah. Was that the one with Hilary Swank?
Yeah.
No, that's the fourth one. That's the next
fourth
Karate Kid. This is the one where Kreese, the Cobra Kai bad guy, he's down and out. So they find a way to rebuild Cobra Kai, and they have this badass, kind of like a karate assassin if they were killing each other, named Dynamite Mike Barnes. So yeah, Karate Kid Part 3, 2 points for Brad because he stole that one.
Incidentally,
from Tom
one of
Sonic.
the first celebrities I met when I moved here was Ralph Macchio.
Was he nice to you?
He was.
Pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
All right, question number 2 for notable quotes. After the most famous line of his most famous speech, what president then said, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future"? Which president said that? So there's a very famous quote from this president's speech. This is the next line.
Gotcha.
I'll read it again. Which president said, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future"?
Starlet.
Brad.
Barack Obama.
It was not Barack Obama. Tom.
I'll say Kennedy.
It was Kennedy, and that is not your topic, so you stole it from Brad. That's 2-2.
I just swore.
It is a tie score, and I like you guys each have a notepad and you're keeping your own score, which no one's ever done in 100 episodes of this podcast.
Take note.
Question number 3 for movies: what city does Home Alone 2 take place in?
Starlet. Chicago.
New York.
It is New York, and that is Tom, so he gets 1 point. Lost in New York, Home Alone 2.
Oh, yeah.
Because of how
Donald
good.
Trump is in it.
Because I thought
Did
Kai.
they shoot the house in Pasadena? Does anybody know that?
The Home Alone house?
No.
Home Alone house is in Chicagoland.
I know, like Ferris Bueller, some of the houses were actually shot in Pasadena, not in Chicago.
The Clue house, the outside of the Clue house was in Pasadena. I know that. 90210 houses, the Walsh's house was in Pasadena.
Rest in peace.
The Halloween
John Hughes.
houses.
Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of houses.
Which is great.
Pasadena.
Which is great if you're train spotting and you're watching these movies that you grew up on, and you see a palm tree and it's supposed to be, I don't know, Michigan or Illinois.
Well, like Little House on the Prairie with mountains.
Yeah.
Also-
exactly. There
also-
are no mountains in that part of Minnesota.
No mountains in Minnesota.
You got to go
It's
way
flat.
up north.
Also, Train Spotting shot in Pasadena.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not true. That last one was not true.
Although the heroin was purchased in Pasadena.
I think that because of the success of Cobra Kai, where they didn't really reboot, it's like 30 years later.
Did they flip the roles? So is Ralph Macchio's character
they're-
now the villain?
They go back and
Or
forth.
it's a little foggy?
What it is it's gray area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it
they're not
depends
good or
on your
bad.
point of view.
Yes.
Who's the good guy and who's the bad
They
guy.
did it in a clever way, so it makes me think that people aren't just going to reboot. It's not just going to be like, hey, the Dukes of Hazzard's back. I think it's going to be like the original Dukes of Hazzard are going to do a thing, and or like Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin plays a dad who leaves his kid home alone, and then is helping him make traps.
Is that a real thing?
No, but that's coming. I think that's going to be coming very soon because of the success of this show.
Reboots all around because there's sort of a nostalgia to it,
Yeah.
and then it's also we love things that we already know. Like
Yeah.
remaking a song, it's like
My whole job as a trivia host is to be like, remember that thing you knew?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I would rather see a reboot than a remake.
Yes.
I'd rather see right now there's a
continuation.
Lethal Weapon. Was there a Lethal Weapon TV show? I don't know if
Yeah.
it's still on, but it obviously wasn't the original actors. It was new
Right.
acters. And
I
Hawaii
don't know what that
5-0
bought.
and-
I don't know what that bought them.
Even though the Roseanne show was kind of a huge mess with what happened, I love the idea that they could bring back a show. It would look-
you're just
it
picking
looked-
up 10 years later.
It looked
15
like
years
the
later.
exact same set, the same crew. You're like, this is really cool. And then they're gonna continue it as the Connors, I guess. So that'll be interesting. But
Yeah.
Still hope for Seinfeld.
still hope for Seinfeld. Yeah. Number 3 for the notable quote side. What singer starts out one of his most famous songs with this line? In the day we sweat it out on the streets of a runaway American dream.
Starlet, Bruce Springsteen.
Yes, that's right. Bruce Springsteen. And you know the song?
Born to Run.
That's right. That's right. So that was 1 point for you. It's 3-3. Tom is
2-2.
2 to 3, isn't it?
Because of the when you steal the other person, you get 2 points. So when you've got his and you've got his, so you've both stolen one and you've both gotten one of your own top.
So it's 3-3.
3-3 right now.
Nice.
Yep.
What's the point of having the paper? Then we just argue with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue with you.
Math was never my strong suit.
So Ryan's going to be keeping score on your own. That's it.
Question number 4
put it away.
for movies. What color is Luke's lightsaber in Return of the Jedi?
Starlet, blue.
Tom. Incorrect.
I'm going to go with green.
It is green.
green.
So, yeah, it is blue in the early movies. Brad stole that one, so that gives 5-3.
They still haven't explained why Kylo Ren has the things coming out of the hand.
The sides. I think it was just like, how do we make a lightsaber looks a little different?
Cool, yeah.
You know, it seems very dangerous.
I know.
It's very close to where your fingers
your
right there. Yeah.
I guess that's a good point. Here we go. This is number 4 for notable quotes. What comedian who died in 2014 said, "I don't exercise. If God had wanted me to bend over, he would have put diamonds on the floor." I don't exercise. If God wanted me to bend over, he would have put diamonds on the floor.
Starlet. I'm just going to say
Gibis.
Gary Shandling.
Gary Shandling is a great guess, but incorrect. Brad.
Ralphie May.
Incorrect. It was Joan Rivers.
Well, that makes sense. The diamonds.
The diamonds thing.
When did
yeah.
Ralphie pass? That was a couple years
That
ago,
was
right?
just last year, I think.
Just last year.
Yeah, I think 17, I think.
Joan Rivers is pretty darn funny.
Pretty great. I loved seeing her
early
documentary
stand-up.
and seeing her card catalog of jokes. She had like a library card catalog, but she could pull it out and it would be like jokes on kitchens, jokes on husbands, jokes on this. And she could
Phyllis
be like,
Diller had that too.
Yeah.
It's in the Smithsonian or something.
that's phenomenal. I mean,
Do you ever catalog or
no. I mean,
like
it would be
once you
cool
move
to
on
do
from
that.
a joke, you never do it again, or
Yeah, I mean, I do the least amount of stand-up I've ever done in my life right now. So I would say I have 0 jokes that I'm writing down.
have to write a new
in a
repertoire.
Way. Yeah, but in the past, I guess everything I've ever written is probably on Google Docs or Evernote.
I know. Didn't Jerry Seinfeld like retire a bunch of jokes when he did?
I'm telling you, for the last time, that was his after the special '99. Yeah. Jumping to the back to the movie side. Number 5. We're about halfway through these questions. What decade did the propaganda film Reefer Madness come out?
Starlet, 1950s.
Starlet, 1930.
It was the 1930s.
Wow.
And that is point number 4 for Tom. Have you guys ever seen it?
No, I've seen parts of it.
I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never seen it all the way through.
I have. So it was disjointed, Brad. Hey, all right. That's in my card catalog, but I'm not going to put it in.
Have you ever seen Freaks around the same time, right?
Geeble Gobble Gooble Gobble?
Oof.
One of Us?
Yeah.
That one?
One of Us.
I only know that from South Park. They
You gotta
like
see
remade
it.
it.
You got to see the real one because it's like
It's creepy.
it is creepy.
Yeah. I have Reefer Madness on VHS at home.
Do you really?
And I have never put it in, but I will one of these days. Number 5 for notable quotes.
You have to buy a VCR first.
I happened to get one.
Did you?
Goodwill VCR TV 13-inch, $9. And it's pretty good. Number 5. What macabre author said either get busy living or get busy dying?
Macabre
What
author.
macabre author said either get busy living or get busy dying?
That quote is very.
Get busy. I mean, that was in the movie
That's in
Shawshank
Unforgiven.
Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
that's right.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, I'll say Starlet, Stephen King.
It was Stephen King. Nice job, Tom. You guys really talked it
You
out.
talked me into it.
I just
And-
gave you that answer.
And that is points
Stephen King
5,
wrote Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
5 and 6, which makes you winning by 1. Nice job. Tom's winning 6 to 5. Very close game.
I got a free coffee. So
Yeah, that's very
I got
good.
a free coffee, so he gets a point.
I don't think we said 1 yet, right? Is it over?
What's the
what's
the
that?
score?
It is 6 to
It's 6 to
5.
5.
Tom's winning by 1.
Son of a.
And we are about halfway through the questions. Here's number 6 for the movie side.
Can't believe I
In
gave
The
you
Wizard of Oz, what item does the wizard hand the scarecrow at the end of the movie, signifying brains?
Starlet,
Yes.
diploma.
It is a diploma, and that's 1 more point. So now it's 7 to 5.
7 to 5.
Brad, we're jumping onto your side
Should
of
be
notable
6
quotes.
to 5.
Here's the quotes number
Thank you,
6.
Brad.
What famous speech giver said, "We are not makers of history, we are made by history"? Famous speech giver said, "We are not makers of history, we are made by history." Buzzing in with Starlet. Tom and Brad thinking it over, looking very perplexed. Number 6. Famous speech giver said, "We are not makers of history, we
I'm
are
gonna
made
say
by history."
Starlet.
Yep.
Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill, great guess, but incorrect. Brad, any guesses?
I am going to say,
Not makers
why
of
not?
history.
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton. I'm going to say not a good guess, but it was Martin Luther King Jr.
No way.
Martin Luther King
that was
Jr.
He didn't say president or anything.
He said a speech giver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably would have been too much of a giveaway to say which reverend,
Which saxophone
Baptist
playing
reverend?
president?
Which civil rights leader?
which civil rights leader,
Which King Jr.? Which King Jr.?
who
said-
is no longer living.
Here is number 7 for the movie side. Who played Batman in 1997's Batman and Robin?
Starlet,
Brad.
Batman and Robin.
1997, Batman and Robin.
George Clooney.
It was George Clooney. Nice job. And that is 2 points, so now it's 7-7.
It was supposed to be Val Kilmer. Kind of comes around.
Yeah, he
Val dumped.
Why didn't he?
Because it was bad.
Oh, he was like, I don't want to do this.
I'm done. I'm one and done. I'm out.
He did real quick. He did and if he ever stages it again, it's fantastic. He does a live one-man show about Mark Twain.
I saw pictures of it.
And it's amazing because he walks around the audience in character as Mark Twain. And then at the end of the show, so part of it is obviously stuff that he's written, but most of it is Mark Twain's words and life and history and that sort of thing.
Hal Holbrook did a show like that in the 70s.
And then at the end of the show, he takes questions from the audience, and as he's doing it, the hair and makeup people come out on stage and take off the wig and all the makeup.
And then people go, Val Kilmer?
Well, with each piece that's taken off, he drops the Mark Twain and goes into Val Kilmer.
Oh.
So it's kind of clever.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it was great. It was
that's
at
cool.
At the Kirk Douglas Theater in Culver City.
You know what I read? Val Kilmer is playing Mark Twain in the Top Gun sequel. Which I think will be very interesting.
Isn't he?
It's a Back to the Future meets Top Gun.
That's right.
Doesn't Val have some health problems? Like
he
had a speech thing or throat cancer.
He was also very heavy, and now he's real skinny, right?
Yeah,
so he's very skinny. Like
he did have a health scare with his throat.
I don't know if he can talk. That's my whole point. So I don't know how they're going to use him.
I mean,
are
they bringing everybody back as Tom Skerritt?
Oh, I don't know.
The dreamy Tom Skerritt.
I'm sure it's like
I can't wait for that
with where they
aged
are.
volleyball
They're going to be the instructors now, I would assume.
Yeah. What if they do an aged volleyball scene? Just
dad
jiggly?
bods.
Dad bod volleyball?
Yeah, none of those guys. They kept working out. They were getting paid millions of dollars.
I mean,
to
Tom
stay
Cruise is still fit, obviously.
Yeah,
but.
right.
This is number 7 for the notable quote side. What chef and traveler said, "Food is everything we are. It's an extension of nationalist feeling, ethnic feeling, your personal history, your province, your region, your tribe, your grandma. It's inseparable from those from the get-go."
Starlet.
Brad.
Anthony Bourdain.
It was Bourdain. Had to include him. Recently
it's waiting
passed.
for the end
Anthony.
of the question. That's the tough part.
I know.
It is tough, yeah. Brad, you got 1 point there, so
This
it's
is
now
kind of a
8-7.
rest in peace podcast, too.
Well, a lot
isn't
of quotes on the website I was looking at were from people that had recently passed. But
that was a bummer.
Because people look for those when they want to share a moment of, you know. This is number 8 for the movie side. For what 2013 film did Cate Blanchett win the Best Actress Oscar?
What was the year?
For what 2013 film did Cate Blanchett win the Best Actress Oscar? This is number 8. Buzzing in with
Starlet, Blue Jasmine.
It is Blue Jasmine.
Nice. Yeah,
She took me. I was like Woody Allen. And
Yeah,
then
She did. What was the one?
8-8.
What was the movie where she was a closeted lesbian?
Don't know.
Mara Rooney was in it with her. That was a really good film. It was like set in the 50s or early
you're making it
60s.
up.
No, it was really
Sounds like
good.
a journal entry.
It's really good. It was very similar to kind of Far From Heaven, that kind of, or the remake of Far From Heaven, I should say, or the reimagining.
This is number 8 for the quote side. What rapper said, "I feel like I'm too busy writing history to read it"? Feel like I'm too busy writing history to read it.
Starlet.
Rapper. Yes.
Chuck D.
Chuck D is incorrect. Tom.
Ice Cube.
Kanye West.
Kanye West.
It's a real Kanye tape quote, right?
I'm not into that.
Sure. You don't read rapper quotes all the time?
No.
I mean, I love hip hop, but
genre is not really.
Question number 9 for the movie side. What 80s movie starts with the line, "I was 12 going on 13 the first time I saw a dead human being"?
Oh, Starlet, Stand By Me.
It is Stand By Me, and just like that.
I can't remember the
we got a
call-in
Stephen
word.
King theme here today.
Yeah, 9-8. 9-8 right now. Tom's winning by 1 point. Let's see if Brad can steal some here. This is number 9 for the quotes side. What British actor said, "But when you're a celebrity, you discover that you're no longer the pursuer, but the one being pursued. That's one of the disappointments I have had since becoming a single man." British actor.
Starlet.
Yes.
Jude Law.
That's a great guess, but incorrect. Tom?
I will say Hugh Grant.
It is Hugh Grant.
Damn it!
And that is a steal, so he's got 11. It's 11-8 right now, 3-point lead. Brad, you can steal the last movie question for 2 points, or
right.
Tom, you could tack on 1 more point. Number 10, how many Bridget Jones Diary movies have been released so far?
Starlet.
Tom?
5.
Incorrect. Brad?
4.
Incorrect. 3. was the
Really?
answer. Yeah, Bridget Jones
having a baby,
having a baby.
It's got to be one in
Edge of
production
Reason.
or something.
Then there was-
I think there probably is.
pre-production.
Bridget Jones Unpacked,
Bridget Jones has
Double Loaded,
Bridget Jones Gone Wild.
Bridget Jones Gone Wild.
Bridget Jones Diaries.
Oh, the Bridget
The
Drones.
Secret of Nim.
That's a totally different.
Bridget
where they have
Drones.
the Bridget Drones fly over different cities. Yeah. Okay, so those are all the movie questions.
Look it up, people. Come on, Brian's got it
Bridget Drones. I like that. I like Bridget Drones.
This is the last question for notable quotes in the end of round one. What female comedic legend said, "I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done"? Female comedic legend. I'd rather regret the things I have done than the things.
Starlet.
Brad.
Gilda Radner.
Incorrect. Tom.
Lucy.
It was Lucy. Lucille Ball for 2 more points.
Tom's got
so right now
brains.
it's 13-8. Now
13-8.
you are down 5, but Brad, there are 5 points available. So if you get all these things, you can tie, and then we'll do a tiebreaker.
All right.
Which is a shirts off wrestling match. So get excited.
I mean,
Abe Lincoln style.
It is Tom's
Abe
house.
Lincoln style.
Abe Lincoln style. Okay, so this is. What did you guys think of the first 20 questions?
That was fun.
Good mix of
some
stuff,
hard
right?
ones in
Good
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
You guys did really well.
I think you've done this before.
It feels like I've done it before. Yeah. Here is round number 2. This is called the combo question. Round number 2 for 2 points. This combines both movies and quotes, so it's about a movie quote.
Yeah.
In what Nicolas Cage movie does his character utter the quote, "There's what's right and there's what's right, and never the twain shall meet"? Speaking of twain,
Yeah.
never the twain shall meet. What Nicolas Cage movie? This is like it's a popular movie. People love it, talk about it. I think you probably both enjoy it. It's not like one of his new weird straight to video ones.
Starlet.
You got to guess.
Raising Arizona.
It is Raising Arizona.
Wow,
and
good.
Brad is on his way to tying Tom. That's 10 points.
Dang it.
And Raising Arizona. That is a
One of the best
Nicolas
Coen
Cage.
brother movies, and certainly one of his
Sometimes a
best.
man has got to worry about
right.
his career first.
There you go. So that is the
Was
the
that
combo
the first
question.
film that John Goodman did?
I don't know. That's kind of the first film that
With
I
them?
you remember seeing something.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did other things, but that
Yeah.
was like you go, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Certainly.
This
Holly
is
Hunter, too, that
This
was-
is the very
Oh,
last thing we're going to
so
do.
cute.
We're going to go in a circle, and we're going to do a thing called categories with buds. We're going to name bands through the alphabet.
I went to a very dirty place when you said we're going to go to the circle part of this. Okay, you jerk.
Get ready to wrestle.
All right.
We're going to go through the alphabet, and
Yes.
so we'll name bands. They have to be bands we've all heard of. Can't be
Yes.
like a band you were in high school. And it has to be. You can drop articles if you need to. So if
right.
you were doing The Killers, that would be K. or if you needed a T, you could say The
The
Killers.
Killers.
So we'll go through. It has to be bands we've all heard of, and we'll start with the letter A. I'll kick it off. We'll go to Brad, Tom, back to me. If you can't think of one in 5 seconds, you're eliminated. Last person standing gets 3 points. So that's how you could tie if you win, Brad. If I win, I'll award the points to one of you,
Nice.
which will probably be Brad for competition's sake.
He likes me more.
Yeah.
And we will. If let's say you can't think of the letter C, then you get the letter C. So get ready to inherit the letter of the person.
okay.
So I'll kick it off with AC/DC. Letter B for Brad. Any band?
Beatles.
The Beatles. C.
Clash.
D. Duran Duran.
Eagles.
Fleetwood Mac.
Gloria Estefan and the whatever they
Miami
were.
Sound
Miami
Machine.
Sound Machine. Is that the name of
No,
the band?
her last name is Estefan, so it would be E for Gloria Estefan.
I think you're right. All right. So
He's
you
going
have.
with
I'm out.
Gloria.
You are the letter G.
Garbage.
Yeah, that's it. H for you, Tom. Down to 2.
Oh, shoot. I'm going to lose my 5 seconds. Hillbilly Sunrise.
Can you name an H to really sink it, Brad?
Heart.
Oh, that's a good one.
So that is happened, guys. You got 3 points there. So now you have 13. It's 13-13. We have to do a tiebreaker.
All right.
The tiebreaker is
I thought
going.
that was the tiebreaker.
No, that was just for.
So those are the 3 rounds. Now we have
Just
to do a
for shits and giggles.
tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker is going to be about. Let me think.
We just go Brad and I back and forth.
I know what we could do. We could do another category game, but we will
Okay.
do it this time with movie titles. I've done this before in the show. People seem to
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
it. So same thing through the alphabet, but we're going to start on a random letter.
Oh, boy.
We're going to start with the letter L.
L.
And then M, N, and then back to me. I'm going to start with L. I'm going to say the Langoliers. Brad.
Manhunter.
No Country for Old Men.
Orange County.
Public Enemies.
is the new movie about Queen called Queen?
There is the movie The Queen. Well, there's a movie called The Queen. Yes, The Queen.
I'll go with that.
R, I'm going to say Red State.
Star Wars.
I guess you could say Star
New
Wars.
Hope.
There you go. Very good.
It's T to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The End.
The End?
I needed
that a
one
movie?
thing that's Burt Reynolds. I needed one movie that starts with the, and that's the only thing.
You Underworld.
Well, wait a second. Does The End count?
Yeah, he said you could do it either way.
Oh,
Yeah, because
really?
it starts with T. Yeah.
All right.
With
So
the-
what am I?
I did You Underworld. You're on W. Or no, you're on V. You V.
Jesus,
Yep. V.
learn the alphabet, man.
I was an English major.
Valkyrie.
Westworld.
Oh yeah, the movie Westworld. WX X-Men.
Wow. So I have Y. Mm-hmm. Yee Yee. It's a
that a
real movie.
Yee Yee.
Yee Yee. Y.
Is that a Kanye West movie?
Y-I-Y-I.
Okay.
I know, right?
The Kanye West documentary.
Ice
Z.
Station Zebra, but that doesn't start with Z.
3 seconds for Tom. Oh man. I'm gonna say Tom's eliminated.
I'm eliminated.
I'm gonna say Zoolander.
Oh,
And now we're gonna go to A
That's
for Brad.
nice. Okay. A for me. Mm-hmm. Let me think about a boy.
B Bad Boys.
Charlie's Angels.
Dogma.
Let's see. Shoot. Excalibur.
Excalibur. Fargo.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
You shook a little.
I
H. Hidalgo.
Hidalgo. Iron Giant.
The Iron Giant. You were thinking of something made of iron.
Iron Giant.
J.
Iron
Jumanji.
Man.
Or Iron. Yeah, was it Iron Man or Iron
It
Giant?
was the Iron Giant.
got it.
Yeah, okay.
Jumanji for J.
Jumanji. So I have K. Clute.
Okay, that sounds made up.
That's really good.
It
Donald
is,
Sutherland.
It's a real movie, but
It's 1970s movie with Donald Sutherland and what's her name?
Jane Fonda.
Thank you.
L. Lion King.
Mask.
Nebraska.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Othello.
Popeye.
Nice. So I have Q.
yeah.
Quadrophenia.
River Dance is not a movie, which means Brad is the winner. He has broken the tie with 14 to 13.
Yes.
Close as you could possibly get. Tom, thank you so
Who
much for
lost
playing.
a major lead.
Congratulations.
Nice handshake, fellas.
Congratulations.
Just to make Brad feel
Congratulations, my friend.
And
Just remember, I always remember.
I owe my life.
No, I won round one.
You did.
that did happen.
And I owe my life to him.
14 to 13. Thank you guys so much for being on the
Thank
show.
you.
Anything you want to plug before you leave, Brad? You don't really do a lot of social media, but where can people find you or book you? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm Bradley Bumper if people want to follow me on Twitter or Facebook, Instagram. Don't really have anything coming up to promote or market or advertise, unfortunately.
But all those products and commercials that you're
That's
advertising,
right.
you see, Brad, if you still watch commercials, you are all over these commercials. Look for Brad MacDonald. You can't miss him. Glasses, white guy.
There's
Is that
none of
your
us
resume?
out there.
The very top, glasses, white guy. I'm your man. Tom, where can people find you? Do you do any social media?
I'm a crabby old man. I want to be left alone.
But
Just leave me alone, you
If
damn
you
kids.
want,
But watch Naruto.
yes, watch
Yeah, watch
Naruto.
I'm on Facebook, Tom Gibis.
Yeah.
Do you do the conventions for Naruto?
He does.
When asked.
Yeah.
It's funny, if you look on my Wikipedia page, it says, Mr. Gibis rarely does a live appearances. Like as if I'm
Did
a
somebody
recluse.
else do that page for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
People do it. I don't know.
I set
who
it up.
does And it's as if I'm, like
Yeah.
I'm the one, like I'm Prince or something. I only do it.
He's the Howard
don't
Hughes
do
of the Naruto world.
All you got to do is ask.
Very
and I will
good.
come.
Tom, Brad, thanks for being on the show, and
Thank you,
thanks for
Ryan.
being my pals.
Thank you.
Boom! What'd you think of that episode? Did you have fun answering those questions on notable quotes and movies while hearing a bunch of great tales from Brad MacDonald and Tom Gibis? I hope you did. If you're a Naruto fan, or Naruto, I think is how Tom pronounced it, you can check out Tom Gibis as the American dub voice on all those episodes. I think over 600 things, he said. Also, Brad MacDonald, you see him anytime you watch a commercial with Flo in it. He's one of the rival insurance agents. Definitely have seen him if you've ever watched TV in the last 5 to 10 years. Thank you guys, Tom and Brad, for doing the show. Tons of fun, and so happy to have you on to have some banter and some trivia. Guys, if you like this show, go to patreon.com/trivia with buds and throw me a few bucks to help it go every single day. That's right. We've been doing it for 2 weeks now, and the numbers for downloads on this show have really skyrocketed into a number that I'm very happy with, and it's very consistent over every day. So I'm glad I did it. I think it was the good move, and if you like this show, tell a friend about it. Think about leaving an iTunes review. Go to iTunes and leave a review about what you like about the show, and I will send you some swag just for doing that. When you do that, just email me, ryanbuds@gmail.com, and say, hey, I left a review. My display name is FarmBoy28, or whatever your display name is. FarmBoy28. That was a weird one to think of off the top of my dome, but I bet there's somebody out there with that screen name. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for telling a friend, and we'll see you next time for more Trivia with Buds. Cheers.